Welcome back to Marty's Tying Bench. I'm doing an alternate version for this week's Vice Squad pattern because, frankly, I had trouble finding enough bead chain to provide eyes for the kits. So I'm going to show you a technique that I've been using for glass eyes, using glass beads. It works great on damsels and any other bug that you want to tie eyes on, and especially when you don't want a whole lot of extra weight. So this is the bunny dragon. I've chosen a 2x long hook, Dairiki 730, and I've got olive thread, which will avoid the thread showing through if your dubbing gets thin in any spots. So black will work. You just need to be a little more careful with the dubbing. Now, to tie these eyes, I've got a bunch of beads on some 2x monofilament, and I'm just going to peel off a couple of them and slide that monofilament down until I get to the end and just pinch it. So there's my two beads, and I'm just going to start tying that monofilament in right where I want the eyes, and then you can pull on the monofilament until they get to the place you want. And at that point, just start with your little crisscross. Before you get too many wraps, you reach down and actually pinch those things and move them around and get them right where you want them. Now, I've given up trying to make those things perfectly even. They're just going to show through the dubbing anyway as eyes. And if they're a little bit lopsided, that's okay. This is a heck of a lot easier than trying to do those burnt mono eyes or sticking monofilament through. Those are just as hard or even harder to get consistent. But I thought this is a pretty slick way to do a pair of eyes. Now, for kind of a, it's not really a tail, it's just a little flash to show through the interior of this fly. I've got some green flash. You can use crystal flash. I think this is Firefly, but any kind of flash that you want. Pearl works just fine. I've got this is a combination of olive and a little bit of gold. I'm going to tie that down the length of the hook. But then I'm going to move my thread forward until it's at the barb of the hook. I don't need this whole shank for the rabbit. And cut that off and so that it's about the same length as the hook shank. Our body material is Crosscut rabbit. You'll see that hair all sticks off of one side of the leather so that when we wrap it, it's going to sweep back. Now I've picked a size of flash so that when I start wrapping it, that flash is going to be the same length or maybe just a little bit longer than the rabbit hairs. Now, if you want to cut this to a point, cut it from the leather side. A lot easier to do without unnecessarily cutting any rabbit, but I'm just going to cut it to a little bit of a point and then tie it in here. If you watched the first video, you'll remember me saying that these dragonflies get up to about an inch and a quarter, maybe just a little longer. Well, this is going to give us a pretty good sized bug. Overlapping slightly until I get to the last one, and then I'm just going to overlap one more time. Now the natural taper of this rabbit hair is going to give us our shape. A little thicker in the abdomen and thinner out there towards the tail. Fingernail clippers to save my scissors. And now I'm going to dub, and I'm dubbing with rabbit fur. The other video I used that Crawdub, which works fine, but if you use rabbit fur, especially off the same rabbit skin, you can get a nice, even, consistent color here. I'm just dubbing between the eyes, and this is just a first layer of dubbing, so it doesn't have to be neat. You just want to fill that in as much as you can. And now I'm going to wrap back over the rabbit. I made a little bit of a throat there. That's where I'm going to tie my legs, and then when we do our last coat of dubbing, we'll fill in over the thread wraps. Now for legs, I've got some Sexy Floss or Flexifloss, and I've gone through it with a Sharpie and speckled it. If you can find the Montana Fly speckled Sexy Legs, then you can skip that step. That's a handy material. So I'm going to tie that in on the side. So the front legs, well, whatever pleases you. I just have them extend out a little bit past the eye. And then I cut the back ones shorter, right about where the rabbit starts to lose its density and turn into guard hairs. Then I'll do the same on this side. You see those eyes are kind of helping those front legs stand out to the side. Ready for just another coat of dubbing. Cover all those thread wraps, maybe get one between the eyes and the legs. Finish with any more crisscross wraps that you want to fill in. Gonna get yet a little bit more dubbing. These things have a pretty distinct big head and big eyes, so don't be afraid to really fill it in there. When you get to the front, hopefully you've run out of rabbit. If you haven't, it's just stroke it off. We'll finish. Let's look, no threads showing through, that's good. Head's filled in. We're in good shape. So, a whip finish. There's your dragonfly, bunny dragon.